Welcome to I Have Some Questions. The show is all about asking questions our guests have never asked themselves before, never thought about, or been too afraid to explore. It's designed to uncover the human story at the root of successes and failures and help us as an audience learn and grow from that story. My hope is that you'll hear brilliant guests exploring new ideas and challenging themselves in new ways of thinking. I think this makes for great conversations. I'm going to bring on entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, scientists, and frankly, any vein of super interesting, successful, and passionate human I can find. I am fascinated by passionate people, and I have some questions for them. I'm Erik Berglund, and I hope you'll join me every week for new episodes. Welcome back to I Have Some Questions. I'm Erik Berglund, and we're making a slight change to our Monday episodes here. I've really struggled as I've launched this podcast with my solo episodes. And the reason was, if you've listened to any of them, you may have found, the idea of this podcast is I have some questions. And a lot of those episodes were showing up as I have some answers. And that's not what I was looking for. I didn't enjoy making them, even though I like talking about those topics and concepts. I just didn't feel like a podcast was the right way for me to go about it. I wasn't enjoying making them. And so I asked another stellar leadership coach if she would be interested in co-hosting the Monday episodes with me. So that's what's going to happen moving forward in these episodes. It's going to be a conversation around some of these questions with another highly qualified coach. And I think they should present a more interesting angle, and certainly they'll be more fun for me to make. So I'm hoping that that translates over to you. So my guest in these episodes, my co-host in these episodes is Alli Murphy. Alli is a leadership strategist, a coach, and a speaker, and she's the founder of Work and Thrive HQ. Alli primarily works with ambitious women leaders, and she tries to help them build careers that feel just as good as they look on paper. She's really known for being very warm, direct, and refreshing and practical. Hope that comes through in our conversations here. And she tries to teach a new playbook for leaders that blends ambition and well-being. She's been on over 650 stages as a speaker. She's worked with the largest companies out there, Microsoft, Best Buy, the Susan G. Komen Foundation. And before launching her company, she was a managing director that scaled seven-figure programs and really led organizational transformation while really championing a people-first culture and consistently taking 5 or more weeks of work-free PTO. She's very good at practicing what she preached. And today, her talks and programs really help women trade the old success playbook of always on for one that's really built on authenticity, energy, and leadership that lasts. And while Alli is primarily focused on working with women, she also runs My Language of Leadership program. She's the facilitator in those programs. That's how we've come to get to know each other better and better. And everything she talks about in her programs is highly applicable to us men as well. So I hope you'll join me in welcoming her on these Monday episodes. I'm going to post the links to her LinkedIn and her website and all those details in the show notes for Mondays. But I'll hope you'll join me for this episode of I Have Some Questions with my co-host, Alli Murphy. All right, Alli, it feels like at any given month over the last few years, we could say in times of uncertainty like these, certain characteristics emerge or certain things are happening, economic uncertainty, political instability, all sorts of things are happening. I feel like we've been saying that since March of 2020. But regardless,
since COVID,
we've had an enormous amount of time as leaders to maybe learn how to handle uncertainty. And yet we all struggle with it. My question for you is, what are some of the things that leaders should maybe avoid, or what are some of the worst practices we continue to see despite times of uncertainty?
I love this question. And I think one of the key things to call out is even when we feel like we've made massive progress and growth in personal development or in how we lead our teams or whatever it looks like, when we face times of uncertainty, whether that's political, like you said, economic, maybe it's budget cuts or layoffs, or maybe it's something with a family member or a friend, what humans do is we revert back to the habits that are our baseline. And so this has come up a lot in conversation lately. And there are 3 big traps that I see over and over again that feel like the right thing. They feel like, ooh, things are uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen. This is how I solve it. And what usually, you can't see my hands, but I'm like literally gripping, because what happens most of the time is when you think about uncertainty or like, I don't know what the answer is, what do you tend to do, Erik? Do you grip tighter? Do most people want more control? And they feel like action is the right way to do things?
Totally.
Yeah. It's normal. And yet The three things that I see the most are, one, leaders start doing work that shouldn't be theirs. Things are uncertain. This still has to happen. XYZ has to get done. I'm going to step in and I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that it gets done because I can do it faster, whatever. So they step in and they do more. That's got a dark side too. The second one feels so easy and feels like it's just going to get things off your plate, but it's giving answers to everybody instead of helping them figure out their own answers. And in the moment, that can feel really simple. Like somebody comes to you, you hand them the answer, they're gone. Great, wonderful. But like you said at the beginning of this is a cycle we've been in for years. And so if you keep handing answers, your people keep coming to you, and you're not training them to think, you're training them to be dependent on you. So that's the second one. And the third one, and then I want to hear your thoughts, is that when things feel unstable, our boundaries are usually one of the first things to disappear. Like, how many of you had something urgent come up and skipped a lunch or missed a workout or checked Slack after dinner? They're all things that feel helpful but have dark sides too.
Yeah, the recurring theme across all three of those feels to me something like show up more. Like we acknowledge the uncertainty and our reaction is to lean in and be more than we have been in a moment when maybe we didn't feel that uncertainty. That's really interesting. I've definitely seen that happen. Some other things that I've seen happen, and candidly, I've done this.
Me too.
Confidently say I have led poorly like this before, is in times of uncertainty to pretend it's not uncertain and to put lipstick on the cake, to dress it up in a different way, to try to spin it in an optimistic light. Everything will be fine, which doesn't help.
No.
The reality is it's much better to acknowledge what's real about it and communicate about it than to pretend everything is just fine and to try to church it up. And that's the number one thing I know I did. It's hard to say the number one thing I know I did poorly, but one of the things that I know I did poorly, especially as an early leader, was that. I've also seen where people want to make shit up in these moments.
What do you mean?
Well,
I gotta make up a project or make up an answer, make up a what? I gotta do similar to you. Like I gotta do something. I gotta lean in. It's like, I gotta have a message. I gotta do something. It's like this urge to, I think the accurate impulse is to communicate, but what you're communicating, might be fabricated.
Kind of word vomit, or, by being here and saying things out loud, it will all be better. And in times of uncertainty, that's actually the exact opposite. Less is probably more in those moments, more listening than talking potentially even. But yeah, making things up, whether to your point, it's work that doesn't need to be done, that might make us feel like we're justifying our existence, or a message that didn't need to be delivered because it didn't have any candor to it, didn't have anything, any meat on it. Or being that leader who just pretends everything's fine and communicates a falsely optimistic narrative when it doesn't really fit. Those would be things to avoid.
Have I ever told you the story about the fact that I have a bandana with the word elephant embroidered on it?
Man, this is like tickling a memory, so maybe, but I don't think we've all heard it. So please share with the class.
Okay, so a couple months into my pilot program, when I was coaching a group of women for the first time after leaving corporate, there was a recurring theme that kept coming up, and they were all going through uncertainty. So CEO departures, interim CEO on one organization, no CEO at another, and the board and the C-suite are all trying to make decisions, but no one's in charge. So a lot was going on. And what kept coming up week over week is you have to call out the elephant in the room. So going back to your thing of, I don't want to smooth this over, or I don't want to make it kind of very Pollyanna. It was calling out the reality of look, this situation's really tough. I don't know what our priorities are going to look like next week. And right now, this is where we're focused. Long story short, I went to Fast Company Innovations Festival in, I think, September of last year, and they had a bandana embroidery station. I was like, what the heck do I put on a bandana? I don't know. Everybody was putting their names on them. And somebody went, Alli, you should write the word elephant. Because I talked about calling out the elephant in the room all the time. So now I have a bandana that says elephant on it.
That's fantastic. What a good physical reminder. So, all right. So let's leave the audience with this. If you could make a bandana for a leader in an effort to help them remember what not to do in times of uncertainty, what would you put on the bandana? Maybe it's a word, maybe it's an image, but like of all the things we said might be good to avoid, what's the one you'd put on a bandana?
That's tough because a bandana doesn't have a lot of space.
Yeah, you got to be concise. Both of us like to use words.
I know.
Situation.
Okay, well, the first thing that comes to mind, because this is not a rehearsed answer, is the word question. And by that, I mean question the way that you're doing things, question if you should be the one doing them, and question what information needs to be shared and what's the best way to do it. And so it's really, I guess, intentionality would be the other way of saying it, like doing things with intention instead of out of habit. So I have 2 words. I cheated.
That's okay. I'm going to use 2 words then as well. It actually makes me think of like the nature of both of our answers is quite reactionary. And, it's almost like this, I'm observing that this is uncertainty and I feel a pressure to do something. And so it actually makes me think of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Have you ever seen or read that?
No.
Oh, man, you are missing out. Homework assignment. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
One of the core themes that comes through that entire book, and there's literally a figure, a picture of an alien-ish character that says this. It just is don't panic. Number 1 rule, don't panic. So that's probably what I would put on it.
Oh, I love that. And this is usually the part where we end the episode. But the other thing that entered my brain when you said don't panic is I would argue, or I would suspect, that the vast majority of people listening don't work in national defense or in a hospital or any of those places where it's actually life and death. So yes, don't panic.
Don't panic. We'll leave you there. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us this week. Don't forget to take a second and subscribe. Maybe even share this episode with somebody it made you think of or someone you think would take some value from it. This show is all about uncovering the brilliance and humanity of high performers. And whether those performers have a massive following or a podcast or a book, or they're a business owner, or they're buried somewhere in a corporation, or maybe they're a nonprofit leader, or they don't necessarily have to have a title. I'm really fascinated by people who are passionate and who are doing interesting things. So if you or somebody you know would be a good guest, don't hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email at hello@languageofleadership.io to make that connection. I'll see you next week.